Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 109. Today, we're going to be talking all about Microsoft Teams, specifically, how do you organize yourself with it? And one of my favorite new topics, how do you organize an entire department of tech coaches? With me, as always, is a future Microsoft Innovative Educator. Isn't that right, Susan? Miss Susan Vincent, how are you today?
Hey, how is everybody? Glad to be here again.
Oh, it is so great to see you. I am so excited about what's going on. I know out there, if you're listening to this and you're a tech coach, look, you might be hurting. You might be having a good time, but I bet you, Sue, it certainly hasn't been a dull school year yet.
Oh, I bet not. It certainly has on my end, and I know it certainly hasn't on yours with your new job.
Oh, my goodness. It has been such a great last couple of weeks, getting an opportunity to move into a new position, now working in central administration, working with 25 or 26 school buildings, 27, 28 tech coaches, really getting back into that bird's eye position. Sue, I am having such a good time, and every single day I am constantly busy. I absolutely love it. What are you doing these days?
Well, as I said last week, we're still plugging along and, surviving and taking care of our teachers and making sure we're still plugging along face-to-face and synchronous and virtual, and we just have it all going on. And, we're hanging in there.
And hanging in there is, of course, what we are all doing. We want to hear what you guys are doing. You can, of course, join our brand new TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network. We got a great Facebook page, and we have an entire membership website that is free to you guys. You can head on over to teachercast.net/TCN forum for TeacherCast Network, teachercast.net/TCN forum. We would love to hear from you guys. Join our network. There's over 100 tech coaches getting together. And Sue, this past week, I had an opportunity to sit down with many of those tech coaches and really show off how we in our district are using Microsoft Teams to not only get organized, but to organize an entire school district of tech coaches. Are you familiar with Teams? Have you gotten a chance to see how awesome this application is?
I am very mildly familiar with it, and really most of what I've learned about Microsoft Teams, Jeff here has shown and taught me, as he gets ready to train his tech coaches and teachers, he's shown me some things along the way. So I've learned a lot and kind of working through the Microsoft educator trainings, learned a lot through there. So I'm very much of a Microsoft Teams newbie. So I can't wait to hear what Jeff has to share with us as he, embarks on this new year, working with this awesome group of tech coaches that he has in his district.
And, I got to laugh a little bit when you say that, because it wasn't really until July when I got introduced to Teams. I've known about it. We've done shows on it. I kind of, said a few things in the past of, Teams was great, but I never really dove into it. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. But seriously, in a couple hours, you learn the platform, you figure out what it is, and then you figure out what that box is called Teams and what you can do both in and out of it. And so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and really why we're doing it. Would that be okay tonight, Sue?
Sounds great. So, why don't you start us off by just explaining what is Microsoft Teams?
I've been looking at this going, it's such a big app, right? There's a lot of components to it. It can be intimidating. So I'll tell you what it's not. It's not Google Meet. And I'll tell you also what it's not. It's not Zoom. And let's break down some of those things, because there's a lot of people who are.
A lot of people get confused.
Exactly.
Before I knew what it was, I thought, it's just another video conferencing tool.
here's how I've been explaining it, because right now my district is half Meet and half Teams. And that's not a percentage question. That's just, we give them two options. If you look at Google Meet, it is a single platform. It does video. If you look at Zoom, it's a dual platform. It does video, it does webinars. If you look at Teams, this meeting thing is just a very small sliver of an entire universe that Microsoft has put together. And I've been looking at this from a different eye. And here's my conclusion. Google apps for education, G Suite.
Yes.
Many, many things. And I really do believe in, look, I'm a Google guy, Google trainer, innovator, teacher, all that great stuff. Google's got a problem. They've got an identity crisis. And their identity crisis is that every single app is its own thing. Now, they're starting to build, right? They do have on the right side of the Google apps, they've got a bar where you've got like Keep and Calendar,
yes.
and you can put some add-ons in there. And you know what? That's cute. But Microsoft, on the other end, seems to have one application, and that application is called Office. And they all work together. They're all integrated with each other, sometimes to a fault, right? Sometimes a calendar is not a calendar. Sometimes whatever version of Word you're on, depending on if it's the Teams version, the online version, or the app version, or the Windows app version, or the Mac app version, they do different things. And I got to tell you, that is frustrating. But with Google, you have slides, and then you have docs, and then you have sheets, and then you have forms, and then they're all totally independent things. Teams is two things. Number one, it's a communication portal, right? It's a communication portal, and that means it's text, that means it's audio, because you can have a phone number in there.
Yes. You
can have video. There's video conferencing going on all over the place. In fact, I really do believe it's the fastest video conferencing as far as on-off things. Not that Teams is slow, not that Zoom is slow, but it's just faster. So I look at Teams as a communications portal, whether it be text, chat, their posts, right? All those different things, the message boards, if you will. The other thing that it is a hard drive. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time today talking about hard drives. We'll talk about something called SharePoint down the road. I'm sure we will. But let's just talk about it as a meeting location and a calendar, right? It's just faster. There's a lot more things to it. On the Meet side, we started off the year with all of these teachers begging for Chrome extensions. I need a Chrome extension to double my monitor. I need a Chrome extension to go into grid view. I need a Chrome extension to, and look, as you know, every single Chrome extension slows down your machine, takes up resources, even if you're not using it.
Exactly.
It's like plugins on a WordPress site, if that makes any sense out there, guys. But in Teams, it's all built in, right? And Teams is always coming out with new features. It seems like every week there's 3 or 4 or 9 new features. I'm looking forward to November. That's when they tell us that breakout rooms are natively coming to Teams.
Oh, that's awesome news.
And I think once that's there, you're going to go Zoom who? I'll let you pause.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at these two things, we started looking at this and going, okay, how can we do tech coaches? How can I organize myself? Let me give you a couple more vocabs and then we'll kind of discuss here, right? But if you look at the question of what is a team is a group of people with a common goal, right? So Sue, can you think of, how would you define a group of people with a common goal? Could you give me an example of what that might be?
Well, my own team that I work with, we are called Academic Services, or formerly known as Curriculum Department. Mm-hmm. So that's my team that is a group of people that are commonly focused on one thing. Could you think of something else? We have our technology team, our IT department. We have the director and all of the technicians.
Excellent. I'll give you one more swing at this.
Let's go with X elementary school, the principal and all of the faculty.
So your buildings are teams.
Yes.
So you can see how just by default, if you think about the organizational structures, a building can be a team, right? The IT department could be a team. The tech coaches could be a team, right? So you start to put that together. And again, every team, it's a hard drive, right? So you have Susan Elementary School is a hard drive, and in there we have channels.
Yes.
So if a team is a like group of people, then a channel is a subset of that. So, Susan Elementary School goes into kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. They're channels, which means they have their own message board, which means they have their own home, but that also really means they have their own hard drive. So Susan Elementary School is the big hard drive. First grade, second grade are the hard drives within that subset.
Mm-hmm. But first grade can see the larger messages also, correct?
First grade can see the larger messages, right? If a principal wants to just message the first graders, great, they can do that. If first grade curriculum goes in there, people can do that. And so we've been coming up with a way to organize all this stuff. Now, let's talk as a single person. I created a team, and I called it Jeff Master Team. Okay, I think it was apostrophe S. So Jeff's Master Team. And in there, I broke that down into a variety of channels. Now, I'm saying this to you guys on the podcast because if you are a Microsoft school, I want you guys to gut check me on this. Write me in, leave me a message, find us on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach or on TeacherCast. I want to know how you're using this because I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions as to, am I doing this the right way?
Oh, I remembered another team.
Right.
The Ask the Tech Coach podcast.
The Ask the Tech Coach podcast, right? On the TeacherCast side, I actually have a team for all of my shows. So I created a team called Jeff's Master Team, and in there I have channels, and each channel is somebody who's important to me. A superintendent channel, a principal channel, a my boss channel, the IT department. And the way that I'm using it, because it is a team for myself, as I'm having meetings with these people, as I'm getting directions from these people, as a person, I'm actually going into those message boards and I'm taking notes on whatever the messages are. Then I can actually have conversations with myself, or I can keep myself there. Almost like a planner, Susan.
Oh,
but,
yes.
But not quite, but
kind
almost
of a planner
like
and a journal.
A planner, a journal, a to-do list. So I'm using it for that. Again, that's a by myself thing. But then also, each of those components, each of those channels has its own file section, its own hard drive section. So, it's kind of like you're organizing your Google Drives, but you're doing it in a more visual way. It's also a dashboard. So in Teams, horizontally up on top, you can pin different tabs. So I have a tab for my posts. I have a tab for my files. I can also have a tab for my Google Drive. Bet you didn't know that in Microsoft Teams, you can actually embed your Google Drive folder, your Google Docs, anything with a link. Your WordPress website can go into your team and be a part of your dashboard. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Google and Microsoft are playing well together. I'm glad.
Not necessarily, but if you think about it on the outside, a Google Drive folder has an address to it, right?
Yes.
And in Teams, all you do is you say, I want to add a website. And what's the website? Could be a Prezi, could be a Sway, could be a WordPress, could be a Wix site. It could be anything that's on there. And the nice thing about this is if you are doing a team with multiple people and you link your Google Drive folder, nobody else can see it because the Google Drive folder is still looking for your credentials.
So I loved how you described just the bottom line of Microsoft Teams, that it's a communications portal. That illustrated it well in my mind. Hopefully you guys out there listening got that visualization. So let's kind of move forward in talking about all of us as tech coaches. So, we're tech coach are individually. There might be 2 of us in a district, or there might be 25 of them in a district as a group. So in your new job, I know you're embarking on this, Jeff. meeting with your tech coaches. So how are you setting up Microsoft Teams to kind of help your tech coaches move forward?
So right now we've created a private team for our tech coaches. And that's an important term there, Sue. A team can be public or private.
Okay.
And if it's public, then it can be searched for. Anybody can join it. Well, I don't want that. So we made a private one, like a membership. And I set up 5 different channels for right now. Backing up a second, a team can have 5,000 people and up to 200 channels. A channel can be public, anybody in the team can see it, or it can be private, where you have to invite individual people in. Okay, so I created a bunch of different channels. One of them I called shared resources. If we're creating something on WeVideo, now everybody can kind of use that message board to share things on WeVideo. Links, resources, docs, tweets, whatever. I created one called the Tech Coach Brag Sheet. Something happened to you today. You helped out a teacher. It was great. It was wonderful. Tell us about it. One of my goals is to really get us to work together. So we're not feeling like we're 28 tech coaches. We really are feeling like we're one unit in 25 buildings. Exactly. I also created one called Tech Coach Feedback. And the idea behind that is, as I'm meeting with the central office and they say, hey, what do you guys think about this? We can post that and everybody can get a chance to feed into that. I also created one called Professional Development Courses. Obviously, as a tech coach, we're giving PD. And it doesn't do us any good if you have a slide deck on something and I have a slide deck on something and she has a slide deck on something. And either A, we don't know that, or B, I don't have time to put these things together. So the thought process is that we can all come together to build one common goal. And you know what? If you teach elementary school and you want to make it for your building, awesome. If I'm a high school and I want to make it for my building because it's different levels, great. But at least let's hold everything in one location. Exactly. So that way, if you want to grab my slide 4 and her slide 8 and then turn that into something different, that's awesome. So the goal here for teams is to really join and unite. And I'll tell you one of my favorite channels here. We created a tech coach rant board because we're all stressful. Okay.
No.
We're all, I think I said that wrong. We're all stressed. That's what I meant.
Maybe we're stressful too.
We're stressful too, right? And we all need a chance to just to kind of have a good time. So it's fun seeing that somebody posts in the rant board and it's a meme of something, or the couple of days ago, I somebody accidentally posted the what's his name, Star-Lord, with the Jurassic World. He had the 3 raptors and he's trying to tame all 3 raptors at once, and you just go, all right. He had fun. That was a fun day.
And we all feel their pain.
And we all feel that pain, right? We've all had the day where the raptors are coming at us and we have to run before the closing gate is going to. We've all had that, right? And so we're having a good time with that. In addition to having that message board, Teams also allows us to have a chat, a group chat. So during the day, we have a running group chat, which is fun, but it's also helpful. Somebody reaches out and says, hey, I can't tie my shoe. All these people chime in and try to help them tie their shoes. Awesome. Yes. And it really has helped us unite the district. It really has helped us get things going. Whereas before, you might imagine 3 million different questions coming in all at once. We're able to really help out a lot of students and a lot of teachers just by these little organizational units. And, in 2 weeks, I really do believe it's helped out a lot. And if anybody out there, again, is using Teams for their tech coaches or for their organization, or let me know. This is nothing that I learned from somebody. I just kind of started making it up as I went along, and I might change it in a month. We'll see what happens, Sue. Isn't that how this whole thing works?
Absolutely. And you just teach me a little bit along the way as you learn it.
Absolutely. You'll have to subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah, I know. I really should. So tell me, you're talking about, the message boards and the rant boards. I love all those ideas. Now tell us a little bit about, how would I use Microsoft Teams to actually have this meeting?
So one of the backbones of Microsoft Teams is their conferencing, right? We said it's a communications portal. So you can quickly use these channels, and every single channel has a meeting button. So for all of us, we could go to the general channel and hit the meet button, and we're all in the same conference room, which is awesome. Also in Teams, if you and I are chatting back and forth, there's a meet button right there. So automatically, you and I can easily do a private conference without the need for saying, let me go into my calendar, let me send you an invite, let me do. It's the quickest thing possible. You hit one button, the phone rings, you're picking up, and in 20 seconds, you're done with your phone call and you're out.
And video, obviously.
And yes, video, audio, phone call, everything. Today, I had an awesome opportunity to meet some of these tech coaches for the first time. And it was just because we were texting back and forth. And I said, Sue, do you have a couple seconds? Sue says yes. And boom, now we're video face to face.
That's great.
Now, I'm not saying that Zoom can't do that, but with Zoom, you're not communicating on Zoom. You're communicating somewhere else, and then you hop onto Zoom. This is just one big, huge integrated solution. Notice what I did there against Zoom. So when you're looking at all of this stuff, it's just a matter of how much time do you want to save?
Very, very nice. And then with Zoom, I have my various views and I have breakout rooms. Does Microsoft Teams have an answer to that in their meeting rooms? They
do. And so one of the things that Microsoft Teams just came out with is called Together Mode. It's awesome. You can put up to 49 or 50, whatever the number of people is, all in one location. It actually takes your background out, and now you can actually see all of your kids or tech coaches all in one thing. And I got to tell you, we tried this yesterday for the first time, and it's really neat seeing all of these people. Half of them had seatbelts on with their steering wheel because that wasn't grayed out, and they're all in like an auditorium seating driving their cars. It was really, really funny to see.
Interesting.
And again, breakout rooms are coming, and I'm told that they're going to be, what did I hear? Better than Zoom. So yeah, how do you feel about them apples?
I don't know. May have to give it a chance. I'm a Zoom girl. But no, I'm excited about everything I'm learning about Microsoft Teams. And, Jeff is very motivating here and in teaching me. So he's done a great job. And
you know what? Like I'm kidding, Sue, and that we're just going back to a podcast we did a couple months ago of Teams versus Meet versus Zoom. Look, if you're using Teams, you can use Zoom. It actually does have the API connection where if you're in Teams, Zoom is an app. So you can actually pin the Zoom app on the side. And if you want to make a calendar event using Zoom instead of a Teams meeting, who cares? Can Zoom create a Teams meeting if you want instead of using the inferior video conferencing platform, Sue?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I'll keep a note of that one in the show notes, by the way.
Keep that note.
On that note, right. But there's a lot of different things that are out there. And so, right now we're about 2 weeks in. I'm really excited. I love the fact that everyone's getting together. I love the fact that we're all reaching out and working and helping together. And I'm looking forward to a great year. And one of the ways that we can do that is by participating every Wednesday. We have our Ask the Tech Coach Roundtable nights from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I got to say p.m. because somebody actually did show up at 8:30 a.m. looking for us. And that was awesome.
That's great. But, we're at our day job at that point.
That's okay. But we're going to be doing some great things. We've been doing these meetings for the last couple months. And like I said, this past week, we did one on Teams. Next week, we might do something on something else. Heck, Sue might come and do a thing on Zoom breakout rooms. I love to see those kinds of activities going on. So if you're looking for a great time, teachercast.net/TCN form. And you know what? This isn't the only place to learn all about tech coaching, Sue. We just launched our live show, Tech Coach Weekly, on the Beluga Network, which I am so excited about.
Yes, very excited. Those are just going to be quick, more tech tips, coaching tips, shorter time span, and we're very excited to get that rolling.
We're going to keep them under 10 minutes or so. And they're, top 5 ways to use Teams as a tech coach, 5 ways to use Google Drive, 5 ways, basically we're just going to get in there and get out and help out as many tech coaches as absolutely possible. You can check that out over on beluga.org. I believe, Sue, it's live.beluga.org.
Live.beluga.org.
Sure that's what it is. And of course, we come to you guys every single Monday. Next week, we're going to continue our deep dive into how do you organize teams. We're going to be talking about a few different aspects to it and how you guys can bring your tech coaches together using this fabulous platform. Sue, what's going on with you this week? What are you looking forward to as we go through the year?
Again, just plugging along at school. I'm actually working on my website. I got into WordPress after I found a little bit of breathing space after we've gotten into a groove for the school year. So working on that website. So I'm excited to get that up and rolling as we kind of get Jeff into a breathing space. He and I are going to continue making that look great.
Absolutely going to be taking advantage of some of these extra days off. I know I'm excited coming up. ISTE, right?
Yes.
Don't forget right now, the ISTE proposals are open, which is weird because ISTE hasn't even happened yet.
No.
But I'm looking forward to doing a bunch of shows, not only at the regular ISTE, but they also got coming up the creative thing that they've got. They've got an extra ISTE in here somewhere, like a smaller event. I'll be doing a wee video workshop for that. And
FETC just announced for January 2021. They're going virtual and it's free.
We haven't heard, at this point, I haven't heard if I'm presenting yet. I don't know if anybody else has heard if they're presenting
yet.
Not either. But I'm looking forward to doing all that. So lots of great stuff coming up. We want to hear from you guys. Reach out to us on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. And you're going to be seeing a lot more stuff coming out from us to support tech coaches. Don't forget, we've got a free and private Facebook group called Tech Coach Mastermind. And of course, we've got our Wednesday roundtable meetings. Check out all the great stuff over at AskTheTechCoach.com. Sue, thank you so much for joining us today. I am looking forward to a great school year.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
And that wraps up episode number 109 of Ask the Tech Coach. On behalf of Sue, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.